Make sure you stick around until the end to see how you can win free gear and products. Hey, this is PJ with CLK Supplies, and I'm going to be going over everything that you need to know about the B119 GM transponder key, which is one of the top 10 transponder keys in the USA today. Now in this video, we're going to be going over the chip used, the test key to use, the shell to use, the code series that this transponder key uses, as well as how to duplicate. But make sure you also download the PDF in the notes below as a nice, quick fact sheet about all of the information in this video. Now, GM started using the B119 transponder key in around 2010 and still uses it today. So with 11 years of it being used, it's no wonder it's in the top 10. Now, the B119 is referred to as a high security key, all right? And when you hear the term high security, it's actually referring to the blade of the key. And the blade of the key is sometimes called high security, sometimes it's called sidewinder, sometimes it's called laser cut, right? There's all sorts of different names over the years. I'm not quite sure how we've got to have them all, but we do. Now, essentially is what it's referring to is on the typical key, okay, like the B111 transponder key, that's a edge style key where the cuts are actually cut on the edges of the key. Where a high security key like the B119 is actually cut on like, let's call it the top or the bottom of the key. All right, now this key is also, it's a 2-track key, which essentially means there's a 1 track on each side. There are 4-track keys as well, like the Honda high security key that we'll get to in another video. Now, as far as the chip in this key, it's the Philips 46E chip. All right, now, as you know by now, the Philips 46 is a really popular chip, but you want to make sure you don't confuse any other Philips 46 chip with the Philips 46E for this GM key. And it's also not rewritable. Now, as far as the test key goes, all right, now this is what I recommend that you do, is use the same key for the test key as well as the shell key. And really there's 2 reasons for that. One is it'll cut down on your inventory, and the price difference between just getting a test key for these compared to getting the shell key is, I mean, for me, it's close enough, right? So I think by just having the one, when you're testing it out and it actually works, well, guess what? You can pop a transponder in it and you're good to go. So I think it's the best of both worlds, and I do recommend the JMA shell, which the part number is TP00OP-11.P5. Now, one other quick fact before I get too much further along here is that the B119, okay, has a whole bunch of different heads. All right, so a lot of times the transponder keys, the heads are kind of what you identify them by quickly and easily, just by sight. However, the B119, there's a whole bunch, 3-4 different heads. So at times that might be a little distracting or deceiving, but the good news is that the one I just gave you there, the TP00OP-11.P5 will kind of work in all of them. Now, one more quick thing before we keep moving along, and that is typically you can identify by sight which transponder key you're working with for the most part. Maybe it's the color of the head of the key, the shape of the head of the key, usually a combination of both of those. However, when it comes to the B119, there's a lot of different heads, okay? And so don't be alarmed by that. It's really not a big deal for you if you're just using the B119 that you would buy from us, okay? So you don't have to worry about that. It's not that big of a deal, but it's definitely something to keep in mind as you're gonna see some B119 OEM keys with some pretty odd shapes. Now, when it comes to the code series, for the B119, there is actually 2 different active code series. So that's something you're really gonna wanna keep your eye out for. There is the Z code series, which is an actual 8 cut, so there's 8 cuts on each side of the key, all right? And then there's also the V code series, which is a 10 cut system. So once again, just make sure you download the PDF and we'll have the details in there for that. But the question you might be asking is, well, how do I identify what code series I need to be using? And the quickest answer, the simplest answer I can give you is just to simply use the ILCO Auto Truck Reference Guide and look it up and it'll show you which one it is. Now, there is several other ways, okay? But that's just a real basic one to know what you're getting yourself into. Now, when it comes to duplicating this key, without a shadow of a doubt, if you can, you're gonna wanna just use a electronic code machine, right? Like the Futura Auto or the Gymkhana 994, something like that, to quickly, easily, and simply duplicate or originate a key by code. However, there's gonna be times that you're not gonna have that available. Maybe you're not that further along in business. Maybe right now you're only duplicating them and you can't justify the expense. So, is what we're gonna do here. You'll see that Silca Swift sitting up there. I'm gonna go ahead, we're gonna move the camera over to it, and we're gonna duplicate one of these B119 keys together. All right, now I have the 2.5 millimeter cutter in, as well as the 2.5 millimeter tracer, all right? And so typically 2 or 2.5 millimeter will cut just about everything that you need. So the first thing we're gonna do is just get the keys aligned. Of course, the existing key we're going to put on the side of the tracer. And we're gonna go and put this in here. And just a little quick tip while I'm doing this is you always wanna try to make sure that the cutting, the part that you're gonna be cutting on the key is actually going to be on the jaw. So sometimes, you know, you can set it up to where it's kind of kicking off here a little bit. You really do not want to do that. And the reason is because you don't want to put any extra weird pressure or leverage on that key, okay? So we're gonna get both of these put in. I like to put my finger on top just to make sure that it sits down really nice. So once you have them in like that, we're ready to get cutting. Now I'm gonna turn this on and go ahead and cut this one side of the key here. One last point I want to make. It's so important over edge style keys when you're cutting these style that you let the cutter do the work, okay? So in other words, we're gonna bring this down here and I'm gonna move it around, but you don't want to pull too hard. You just want to let the cutter cut. So we'll go ahead and start cutting. Okay, so we're gonna get this put in here. We're just gonna bring it around. We're gonna choose a side. Now the cutter always wants to cut a certain way. See, my light's acting up on me. Okay, so we're gonna bring it down through. All right, we got one side done there. I don't know if you could hear me talk while I was saying that, but the light is definitely acting up weird on me. So I'll have to take a look at that at another time. Go ahead and get those little burrs cleaned off there, little chips. We'll get this key flipped around and we'll cut the other side the exact same way. All right, now one quick extra little thing I want to bring up before we're done here is you'll after you get done kind of going through the key, you'll always see me go back through it one more time just to make sure I'm not hearing anything, okay? And when you did that, that's how for sure you're gonna know you're done. But this process does take a little longer than cutting an edge style key, which is okay. You just gotta just take your time, let it go, and try not to let that light flickering on this one bother you. All right, so there you have it. Everything that you need to know about the B119 transponder key. Make sure you download the free PDF in the notes below. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. I'm guessing if you just watched this video that you work with locks and keys. And to us here at CLK Supplies, that makes you a lock boss. And we wanna hook you up. Here's how it works. Throughout the week, we post videos on YouTube, like the one you just watched. And all you need to do is comment on the videos and include the hashtag LockBoss. When you do this, you're automatically entered in to win one of 5 free prizes that we give out each and every week. No purchase necessary. So if you're a lock boss, join us each week to learn, grow, and win.